Hi, my name is Dan Hansen. I'm a Technical Marketing Manager with Cisco's Server Access and Virtualization Group. This video is part of a series that is really intended to show some of the advantages in using Cisco's server offering, which is the Unified Compute System. This video will show how we actually can establish service level tiers based on the server infrastructure. And what we mean by that is the different levels, as I'm showing here, of the components within the system. So I have an array of servers built differently just to show some of the differentiation. Different types and speeds of processors, different amount of memory, different sizes of disk that are meant to really show different types or support different types of enterprise applications. Also, not only within the blade, but within the rack mount, we'll show this functionality. And then I'll just show the basic UCS management, which is the fabric interconnect, which I'm showing here. So what we'll do is jump into the server tab. Under that we have some basic breakouts, and what I'll be doing is going into the pool area. So within the pool, what I really want to do first is just create a placeholder for these various servers to live that meet certain SLA boundaries. Now, traditionally, part of the problem has been that these boundaries, we build out a chassis with certain types of I/O components, certain amounts of power that can be supported, certain licensing schemes. On the individual blades, we would build out certain type of mezzanine adapters that had different wiring and cabling rules to the backplane I/O. With Cisco UCS, all of that is abstracted, stateless. We don't have to cable, recable, do all this to meet our server needs. Very simple. And so part of this is saying I don't want to also go back to purchase factory integration services or scan many barcodes to really understand the type and quantification, qualification of different servers that are coming into my infrastructure and the lead time that can go into trying to build out offerings based on this and meet certain service level tiers. What we're showing is that independent of the chassis or independent of the rack mount, we're going to create these 4 pools of servers for ESX and Linux that meet certain service level tiers. What we're going to do is as we populate actual physical compute resources on the infrastructure, they will auto-categorize, automatically save all their unique serial number information in the UCS database and present to the appropriate service level tier ready for use. Essentially take something out of the carton, plug it into the box, and it's ready to go. So on here I'm showing some of the idea. I could have done it via the adapter type for this ESX Gold, where it lives within the chassis if I chose to. The memory here, I'm just going to come up with a mid-memory number, and I'll explain more on this a little bit later. Here I could put in a CPU type or number of cores or perhaps CPU speed. So on here I'll say minimally, let's say 8 cores and 2.933 on the speed for this tier of servers. I could restrict it by server model. I could restrict it by the power configuration, the facility's power into the chassis, or the rack location into this solution. So that's my first gold tier. I just choose those 3 parameters to really take the servers, measure them on insertion, and say these are capability to run my ESX Gold. I'm going to do the same thing here to show the silver tier with slightly different memory and processor settings as I had on the gold tier, and be ensured that the profiles or the servers that I create on the UCS server system will then be applied into my predefined server types, regardless of where they live on the infrastructure. So on here I'm finishing up on this ESX Silver policy. I will create 2 more that are the for a couple of different tiers of Linux hosts. Again, what I've done is just create a pool as a placeholder for these servers once they're measured and quantified. Now I'm creating the policy to go out and measure and quantify the servers. after this, the last step in the process, equate one with the other to actually scan my server infrastructure and apply this policy to get the correct servers inserted into the correct pools. So now that we have one last Linux qualification to build, and now that we have that, what it's actually going to do is I could either, when I apply a service profile, I could say pick a server out of this pool and make it match this qualification policy. But what I'm going to demonstrate here in this video is coming in and I'm going to up front apply the qualification policy to this empty pool so that I'm fully building out the pool dynamically, maximizing the dynamic and automated capabilities here in the UCS system. So if I create a gold tier policy and I associate my pool entry with the qualification, it scans the system here and builds out the possible servers that meet these requirements, that match my SLA. Now, what I can do is show you the dynamic nature here. We'll jump back into the actual qualification policy. I want to throw another server into this pool. Now, what I've done is I've pulled out some memory to make it come in under the actual requested number. So here, if I just drop this number a little bit to get that server to fall into this pool, as I change it and apply it, you'll notice that the server has now been added into the pool dynamically as I've made these changes. So it's ready for deployment for servers that I've defined that need this SLA tier. So as I go in here and do the same thing on the silver side, apply that policy and take a look there, one thing you'll notice is I see some of the same servers in different pools. And that is a design goal. The idea is I don't want to have servers that are, once they're claimed by one pool, be sitting there isolated and unused for other use cases. Now, I do have on here inside UCS a separate structure called organizations that is beyond the scope of this video. But as you see on the screen, everything's under the root organization. What I'm really trying to show here is just how to create different server level tiers based on a certain number of servers that are actually out in my infrastructure. So these are ready to be deployed, made use of by the server profiles, which are the servers in UCS, and actually be starting to host enterprise applications. So as I go through here, you'll see I'm going to show one other capability is that after I've done all this dynamic qualification, I could certainly take a common spare blade or set of blades within the infrastructure, rack or set of racks, and apply it to all of these pools as a backup server. And the idea there is, again, to reduce the sparing requirements, get more of an organizational sparing approach rather than app by app. So on here, when I look at a given server profile that's out there, I can take a service profile template, assign it to the pool, and one of the instances will go in. Here I'm showing you the manageability of taking a service profile, mapping it into the service profile, and into the server pool, and it is being mapped into the appropriate tier. As I add and move and grow and shrink the service needs here, again, the servers as they're inserted are automatically classified, and if I have a pending server need, they will automatically be deployed onto the infrastructure. So when I look at the completion of this, I go into my gold pool and I see that I have 3 profiles needing use of this tier have now been applied. The servers are actually up in operation. When I drop down the tiers, you'll see some of the other servers that are out there that meet a lower SLA tier to run some of the other business applications. So again, when we start talking about UCS and the various capabilities for servers to live within hardware, part of the design goal is to eliminate all of the friction in terms of taking something off of a shipping dock and getting it operational inside the data center, including classifying the server, the speed of it, and how it actually works. For more on this or other capabilities, you can go to the cisco.com/go/UCS. Thanks a lot.